Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. My name's Katie and I upload book-related videos every single Wednesday, and today's video isn't going to be a type of video I've ever filmed before. And the idea of this came about because, as you guys know, if you've watched my channel for 7 years, if you watched my channel for 2 weeks, you'll probably notice that every single one of my book reviews is spoiler-free. I don't even have a spoiler section at the ending, and that's for very conscious reasons. It's because so many of you guys have commented and told me that you're scared to watch book reviews and you only tend to watch book reviews of books you've already read because you're scared of being spoiled, which I can totally get. So that's why my videos are spoiler free, and I don't make separate spoiler discussion videos for each book just because I've figured out a way to be able to talk about like 95% of what I want to talk about when I'm reviewing in a way that won't give anything away, if that makes sense. And it's also just a lot of work to film 2 reviews. So I came up with this idea that once a year, or maybe just a couple times a year, I will talk about all the little tidbits that are spoilers plot-wise that I just want to talk with you guys about all in one video. And I will list in order the books that I'm going to talk about below with timestamps so you can click just for those sections, so that way you're not going to be spoiled about a book that you haven't read yet that you're interested in reading. And I will also say a trigger warning in the beginning for everything, essentially. Books I'm going to talk about are ones generally where it's the super fucked up stuff, plot point wise, that terrified me, that I just wanted to hear your guys' reactions to too. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first book is the one I reviewed most recently, and that is The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter. And I got some comments from you guys when I reviewed this because I said The Good Daughter had a scene that out of any other book I've ever read made me really have to put it down for a little bit because it made me that uncomfortable, and I just thought it was that disturbing. And I got some comments saying, well, Pretty Girls had so many more scenes that were much more violent, and I 100% agree because, and I'm not about to spoil anything in Pretty Girls, but there's lots of like torture and everything like that throughout it. The thing about The Good Daughter is the scene 3/4 of the way into the book about when it flashes back to Charlie and you realize that she actually was raped and she's what, 12 years old, and then the part that really got me, and this video I'm sure is about to get demonetized, but that's fine. The scene where you find out she's raped and there are literally pieces of her down there just hanging out because they've been cut up. I mean, I can't even, I had to put it down. It was one of those few instances where I was really like, did this go too far? And for those of you who did read the book, I was really confused because how the hell did they manage to keep that a secret? Like, the whole point was that no one knew about this. Wouldn't she have had to have gone to the doctor? I mean, I really do not understand. So the next book I'm going to talk about was The Sweet Far Thing, because the ending of this book, the fact that Kartik became a tree, nothing upsets me more. And maybe it's just because this was one of the first books I really fell in love with, and I really would like picture myself as the main character, even though realistically I wish I was like her. I'm probably not. I loved Kartik so much, and the fact that he became a tree, nothing will upset me more. And I would literally lie awake at night when I was little and just be like, I feel fine, and then I'd remember, oh wait, Kartik is still a tree. The next book I want to talk about is The Devil in Nanking. I don't know if a lot of you guys have read this. I think a few of you have. It's not an incredibly popular book, but I do have my spoiler-free review of it. But this is about a young woman named Gray who goes and lives in Tokyo, and she falls for this very kind of like wrong side of the tracks, slightly skeezy guy, and so she falls for him, and there's a scene where the mafia breaks into the building, and all you know is that this person does something to his body that causes him to be in a lot of pain. He's very embarrassed. He won't let Gray come into the room and see what's happened to him. And the way I'm describing it, it probably doesn't sound that scary. You're probably just like, oh, maybe she like cut him a little bit. But the way the author describes it, it's like I get the impression she did something to him down there, but like not chopped his dick off, because that'd be like too normal for this book if someone's dick was just chopped off. You get the impression it was something much weirder and much more disturbing than that. So I'm really curious, if you've read this book, what do you think that she did? What if someone's just like, yeah, she obviously chopped his dick off? Maybe my head's just going in even weirder places, but I'm really curious if you read it, what do you think happened to him? This is a Japanese manga that is incredibly disturbing. I've heard about this from The Shades of Orange, I believe, but it's about a small town where people are obsessed with spirals. Excuse me. And there's a scene, and it's probably one of the weirdest, most creepy mangas I've ever read. And this isn't gonna be that much of a spoiler if you haven't read it. But basically, the main guy, he's the boyfriend of the main protagonist, he walks home and his father has like become a giant spiral, like he's almost become a snake and like his body's going into his mouth. And when I like flipped the page and saw that, because I knew the book was gonna be weird, but when I saw that, I was like, this book has really gone off the deep end, and I'm so curious if any of you guys have read it. If not, I highly recommend it. I mean, that wasn't even really a spoiler because that happens towards the beginning. I haven't even finished it yet. Then I wanted to talk about Since We Fell by Dennis Lehane. This is the author of Mystic River, of Shutter Island, and this was his first book where he had a female protagonist. And the ending of this book made zero sense to me. So the protagonist, Rachel, she thinks essentially that she's killed her husband and shot him. And then you figure out that all of these things that's happened to her that led up to him shooting him and everything afterwards, he planned out, and none of that makes sense. If this book had a supernatural element, maybe that would make sense, but there's just absolutely no foreseeable way that her husband could have planned all of those things and could have planned for her to shoot him. And the book tries to explain how that would have happened, but it just makes no sense. And I know you might say, Katie, it's a book, it's fiction, you're supposed to like, you're supposed to like suspend your disbelief. Like, this isn't Pretty Little Liars. This is supposed to be well written. So that just really always bothered me. The writing was still wonderful, but the ending was just idiotic. Then I wanted to talk about a book I'm sure many of you have read, and that's Everything I Never Told You. And I know a lot of people, I've heard of quite a few people who loved the book, but they were upset with the ending because they thought, I really wish that Lydia would have been murdered. And I think for a lot of people, the book was building up, and then the fact that she essentially accidentally killed herself by attempting to swim. Some people felt that, I think that was a little bit anticlimactic, and I understand because you guys know I love me thrillers, I love surprise endings, I love when the killer is revealed and it's someone you don't expect, but to me, the way that Lydia died was so unexpected and it fit so well and it was so tragic, which the whole tone of the book was. It's incredibly hard to read, depressing book, but it's so, so wonderful. And so I personally just wanted to throw it out there that I thought the ending was absolutely perfect, and I'm so glad it didn't just turn out that there was, you know, a serial killer in the neighborhood. Now I wanted to talk about the Shatter Me series because I've read, I believe, all of them, or at least the 3 main ones. And I want to talk about Warren and Juliet, and I think I touched on this like very briefly maybe when I reviewed the book, but the fact that, you know, Juliet originally likes whatever the other guy's name is, and Warren's being kind of rapey to her throughout the entire book, and then all of a sudden he, you know, has a heart of gold, and everything he did made sense in the end. I really think that Warren acting that way towards Juliet was really just because the author wanted a chance to write some dark erotica for young adults, and that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying, let's call it what it is. It's young adult, like starter dark erotica, and again, not a bad thing. I think that people who like Shatter Me probably like reading dark erotica, or they probably will down the road. And finally, I wanted to talk about Night Film because this ending bothered me more than most books I've read, because when it ends and Scott finds Cordova, and Cordova has his back to him and he turns, and I forget exactly how it ends, but basically you get the sense that Cordova is about to reveal to Scott all the secrets that the book has been leading up to, and then the book just ends. And I know for a lot of people they thought that was fitting with the book because the book was so weird and creepy and out there that it wouldn't make sense to have an ending where you have a bow that's tied perfectly on top. To me, I felt like the ending was a complete cop-out because I really just got the impression that the author, what's her name, Marisha Pessl, I really think she just couldn't think of an ending. I know a lot of people will disagree with me on that, and that's fine, but a book like House of Leaves, which just FYI, I'm not gonna spoil, because I don't think it's a spoiler to say that the House of Leaves, you don't get all the answers. The House of Leaves is so bizarre. It makes sense that that doesn't have a perfect bow type ending. But Night Film, to me at least, was creepy and out there, but it was much more of, you know, a standard mystery, a standard thriller, and so the fact that they don't reveal anything to you just makes my blood boil. Especially when I think about how I downloaded, what was that app where you could like hold, do you guys remember what I'm talking about? There was like a night film app and you'd hold it over the book and things would be revealed. And when nothing is revealed, I will say I actually do recommend reading Night Film. I love her writing style, but again, plot-wise, I just think all of that detective work we did, me downloading the app, don't make me download the app if the book's not even gonna have an ending. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know, do you think there's a different way I should be setting it up versus just having pictures with the books with the timestamps? Is there a different way I should be formatting this? So I hope you guys are having a wonderful week, and of course, please let me know if you agree or disagree with what I have to say in this video, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.